Hello folks, I thought I'd do another Uncanny X-Men pickup video, but first, I did pick up this, the Hope Summers action figure, Marvel Legends, posed right next to Magneto. Here's a front view of that. Pretty awesome, pretty badass. And there's Hope right there. This angle is a lot better, trust me folks. Now this looks pretty badass, if you ask me. Right there, ready to pop somebody. Look at that. I have them right on top of my television. Pretty cool. But, time for the comic books. Okay, let's get the camera all the way I like it. Come on. Up, 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 up. There we go. That's the first issue is Uncanny X-Men 230. Right here, folks. 230. Now, this one's about, well, long shot. I don't know. I still don't know to this day what his superpower is. Something to do with luck and super agility, I'm guessing. But he just couldn't. He can read all the treasure, and he pretty much can just read treasure and know where they're from, I guess. And yeah, he can read treasure. He knows where it's from, and he knows the history of it. And the X-Men have pretty much tasked themselves with going to find the treasure. That's pretty much all they do in this issue. It's a pretty good issue, and it's actually kind of a holiday issue too, believe it or not. It's kind of weird. But, yep, that's that one. Uncanny X-Men 231. Oh, excuse me, folks. I think I might have missed one. Let's see. Yep, not it. Yep. I missed one before that. But, anyway, since we're on 231, this is Colossus. And pretty much this issue is about Colossus going to help the New Mutants, mainly his sister, Ileana. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And this guy, Serum, is planning to try to take over the Mojo, or the Limbo. And so Colossus comes in and saves the day. She thinks he's dead, of course. And that's this issue's about. Pretty solid. Now, aforementioned, this is the one I forgot. 229, a very solid issue. The X-Men kick ass. I'm not joking. That's pretty much what this is about. The X-Men kick ass. Yep. I mean, they kick the living daylights out of the Reavers in the Australian outback, and they just completely pwn them. They take their hideout, they destroy them, demolish them. Pretty cool to see the X-Men kick some ass. So, and what else is there? There's Uncanny X-Men 232, and as you can tell, the Brood is back. It's true, the Brood infects some poor, unfortunate person, and when he affects this poor, unfortunate person, you know, the X-Men find out and they're trying to get him, and he doesn't know why. It's pretty sad, but a pretty solid storyline. Uncanny X-Men 233. For another good one. The X-Men are still fighting the Brood, and, well, that's pretty much it. The X-Men are still fighting the Brood, and it's pretty good. I'm telling you this right now. I mean, the cops, the Brood is pretty much a lot farther along than people believe, and it was a pretty solid issue. And Uncanny X-Men 234. The Brood, the final part to this part, and as you can tell, Wolverine got infected by the Brood, but his healing factor finally kicked in and saved him. And it's such a good issue because Wolverine ends up having to kill the guy who was infected by the Brood. He just slices him in half, or his head off, I think. But yeah, Havoc and everyone, they go against the Brood. That was the greatest part of the issue, was seeing Wolverine's healing factor battle the effects of the Brood. He finally gets healed from it. It was pretty cool. So yeah, it's 234. Wow, 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 wow. Bum, 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 bum. Sorry, folks. I still got the graduation theme in my head. Doo-doo-doo-doo. And there's another one. I'm just flipping this, trying to get it in. Oh, there it is. Uncanny X-Men 235. 235. And this is when they started coming out like twice a month. And this is pretty much, they end up kidnapping Madeline Pryor and I can't remember, some nurse in Genosha. And Genosha back in the day enslaved mutants, created mutates. They pretty much enslaved them. and they use the mutants in order to live their life. To things we take for granted, like people get paid for taking out the garbage and stuff like that, and that makes life possible. That's what Genosha used the mutants for. No pay, put them in like pretty much concentration camps, and they were forced to do this, and they were programmed and had like the skin, and it was terrible. And this is pretty much the beginning of the Genosha saga. Wolverine and Rogue end up getting captured in this one, unfortunately, and yep, this whole saga when they were in Genosha is a pretty solid one, folks. And standard issue Uncanny X-Men 236. And don't you just look at the cover of this, folks? This cover is pretty badass. I mean, it really is. And look at the height difference. Look at the Wolverine and Rogue. Well, Rogue is so much taller than him. Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, this is what this issue's about. It's what happens is Rogue ends up almost, I think, getting raped and almost, well, I think it's hinted that she gets molested, I think. And which is, yeah, the guys who did that deserve everything he got to them and more, folks. Yeah, that's not cool. That's like molesting and rape is like, with the exception of killing someone, it's like the worst thing you can do to someone, and yeah, it just kind of got me. That actually made me infuriated. It actually kind of made me mad. I wanted to see these guys get killed who did that to Rogue. And so anyway, what happens is she ends up going deep into her subconscious, and this is when the Carol Danvers personality finally takes over in order to free him out of prison. Because at this time, Wolverine and Rogue don't have any superpowers, and so they end up busting free through that way. With Carol Danvers running Rogue's psyche now, because she's so she was so whatchamacallit, traumatized by the event. And yep, and not only that, dude, but we also get some hints of Madeline Pryor starting to turn to the Goblin Queen. Cool stuff, folks. Yep. And then we got Uncanny X-Men 237. Aboard the Mutant Train. Another solid issue, folks. This 235, 237 are worth picking up, folks. You can find it in the back stock. They're very good stories. And this one, the mutants finally get their revenge. Carol Danvers running Rogue Psych, is still running Rogue Psych. She finds out Wolverine is like dying. Well, he's horribly beat up, and he doesn't have his healing factor either. And you also find out, like, for the first time, that his claws are actually protruding through his skin too. In addition to this, like, pretty much they fight the magistrates and they free Madeline Pryor, who's in the midst of becoming the Goblin Queen. And that's pretty much it. They fight him and they end up winning, and unfortunately they don't take care of business and just destroy the entire nation of government. They listen to this idealistic kid, which was like, it was kind of a downer, but still a very solid issue. Then we got Uncanny X-Men 238. Oh my, up, darn you up. Oh man. This is a tough cookie. I'm trying to open this, folks. Uncanny X-Men. Oh, bloody hell. This is ridiculously hard to open. Oh, my mistake. Yep, it was my mistake, folks. That one was not the end. This one wasn't the end of the storyline. I read so much of these, but this is the end of the storyline to the Genosha, which again, Wolverine gets healed, they get their powers back, Carol Danvers is still running the Rogue Psych. Got the Madeline Pryor shows how immensely powerful she is in these last two issues when she has the Goblin Queen power, and it ends in that note, the idealistic kid wanting to change everything from within instead of having the X-Men destroy it. But yep, 235, 238, definitely worth checking out, folks, if you have the time. No, get in. Oh, bloody hell. Alrighty. Oh, bloody hell. 38. Oh my. 38. 39. Ignite Inferno. right there. And this is pretty much Madeline Pryor, and I guess Havoc was starting to have a thing here. But, of course, it doesn't come to an end. We find out that she's right there, pretty much transformed into the Goblin Queen, and she's starting her schemes right here. And it's nothing really incredibly major that happens, but this is pretty much, we find out that these two are kind of like dating now, and nothing really major happens. It's probably something you can skip. And here we go, the Inferno story arc. Right here, Madeline Pryor's plan is put into effect. She wants the X-Men to go after the Marauders who kidnapped Cable and almost tried to kill her. Yep, so you can understand Madeline Pryor has a good reason to come after these guys. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, they fight with the Marauders and stuff, and pretty good stuff. And they also got Uncanny X-Men. Bloody hell. I know some X Factor tie-ins too, by the way, folks. Where did I put my X Factor? And then there is this one. Madeline Pryor. And this is where you find out Madeline Pryor was a clone of Jean Grey. She was a clone of Jean Grey, as like a certain portion of the Phoenix stole from Jean Grey was put into Madeline Pryor after, the Phoenix committed suicide, which is a whole other can of worms that I don't want to open. But yeah, we find out that Mr. Sinister created Madeline Pryor, and my God, Sinister is just he's just a creep, to be quite honest, folks. I mean, obsessed with Scott Summers, the whole Summers family. The guy's obsessed. He's kind of like a glorified stalker, if I would call him, with immense power. But yeah, it's like, man, you can't help but feel sorry for Madeline Pryor, though, in this whole event. I mean, I can't help but empathize with her. I mean, if you found out you're a clone, I'm pretty sure you'd go insane. But yeah, I mean, it's just really, really sad for her. But she ends up breaking free, at least. And then things don't go too well for Madeline Pryor after that. I feel, like I said, I feel sorry for her, but yeah, she had a choice to make, and she made the wrong one. But you'll find out, folks. This is another tie-in, X Factor. This is pretty much all these mutants from, like, Limbo. Not only is this going on, Madeline Pryor putting things in effect with the Goblin Queen, but the guy in Limbo who's fighting Indiana is coming in and sending all his things onto Earth, too, trying to create, like, a different Earth or something like that. And so the X Factor is just trying to keep these people at bay. Then, after this, I don't know the chronological order of this, but I'm gonna guess and say this one. Well, the evil effect of Madeline Pryor's influence and everything are pretty much starting to bring out all the bad in the good guys. Like Wolverine, you can see they're kind of starting to differently fight with each other a little bit, but it's a little confusing because they're evil, but then they side with each other and they're getting into negative influence and they're good again. So it's a little confusing, to be quite honest, but it's still good. And Longshot and Dazzler, man, they undergo some weird transformations as well. And then we got this one. X Factor number 37. Madeline Pryor regains her son, Cable. That's Cable, by the way, folks. She's holding up, that's Cable. She finally regains her son, Cable. And this is why I said she makes, like, the wrong choice. Because, I feel sorry for her because she was a clone. She really didn't deserve that. And then the way Cyclops treated her, too, by leaving her son without saying anything, without calling to check up on them. Then she gets attacked, and I feel sorry for her. But this is where she makes the wrong decision right here. She pretty much uses the baby Cable, and she pretty much taunts X Factor at all the members. And she pretty much hates Jean Grey with a passion. And what she plans on doing is sacrificing and killing Cable to do, I think, something. I can't remember what it was. Was it to bring some different new world or something like that? But yep, and that's where she makes the wrong decision there, folks. And then we got X-Men. right here, X Factor. It's a tie-in, folks. I didn't want to read the storyline without reading, this. I didn't want to read. I wanted to read everything from the storyline. I didn't read New Mutants. New Mutants is part of Inferno and an Exterminator, and I don't really care about the New Mutants. Yes, I know Ileana turned back into a child, but I don't really care. But this is a battle between Jean Grey and the Goblin Queen Madeline Pryor. They locked themselves up in a bubble, and pretty much they end up. Well, Longshot ends up actually finding the weak point using his luck, who abandoned him, who feels abandoned him. They're all trying to penetrate this bubble, and Havoc and Cyclops are going at it, like bickering, because Havoc, again, doesn't agree with the way Cyclops treated Madeline Pryor, and I don't think anyone does. I mean, he was really a jerk. That's another reason I don't like Cyclops. That's one of the big reasons. But they end up fighting each other, and Madeline Pryor ends up committing suicide, folks, in order to try and take Jean Grey with her. Unfortunately, that portion of the Phoenix that belonged to Madeline Pryor went back into Jean Grey. That was like a little part of myth that I took from Jean Grey. It went back into Jean Grey. She accepted it, and she ends up inheriting like some of Madeline Pryor's personality traits, which were again originally hers. But Madeline Pryor ends up dying after this, which is sad. Like I said, I emphasize this. I feel sad, but she made the wrong decision somewhere down the line, folks. A scarlet issue indeed. Then here's this one. Inferno, and this is pretty much after the fall, as I would say. This is after the fall of Madeline Pryor, and this is pretty much when they resolved to go after Sinister himself. And ironically, his hideout, his evil lair, was in Professor Xavier's School for the Gifted Youngsters. Because the X-Men were in Australia pretending to be dead, he set up his base of operations in there. I couldn't believe it, folks. That is just so obvious and then yet so brilliant at the same time. It's pretty hilarious. And then X Factor number 38. This is where they finally attack Sinister at his base. They really, Sinister was poning them, but the really good part is they finally have Havoc finally goad Cyclops into just disintegrating Sinister into bones. In fact, let's show that panel too. That was a pretty cool panel. Oh my god, I taped it too well. Let's show that panel, by the way. Look at what Cyclops does to Sinister, folks. Right here. There's Cyclops. There's Havoc goading him on. And bam! His optic blast. And bam! That's Sinister. Right there. Bam! That was pretty badass, folks. A really solid issue. It's really, really awesome. But yeah, that's the X-Men. That's the end of the Inferno story arc. And now we can go back to my Uncanny X-Men haul. And Uncanny X-Men 1/244, and this is a little shinier and looks better because it's in Mylar. Yep, it's in the Mylar bag, folks. And we know everything's good. And of course, we all know what this issue is important. Now, it's a kind of a joke issue too, because it kind of has like the Ghostbusters acting as mutant hunters. But anyway, the important thing about this issue is the first appearance of Jubilee. This is the first appearance of Jubilee and her firework powers. She actually sneaks back into the Australian outback with them without them knowing. So, yep, issue 244, and the X-Men first appearance of Jubilee. And I know I showed this already too, but this comes after that. This is something that comes after that right there. This is, I would say you read this after that issue. This is an annual number 12, and this is kind of like an introduction to Jubilee too. You kind of get to know the character a little more. So yep, there's that one. Then there's Uncanny X-Men 245. Now 244 was the girls' night out, and this is the guys' night out. Yep, Havoc, Longshot, and Havoc. This is their night out, and pretty much it gets interrupted with aliens, and they pretty much just have a good old-fashioned beat-down, poker, it's a guy's issue, pretty much. Like, if you're a guy and you like people beating the crap out of each other and just going to a bar, that's pretty much what this issue is about. Of course, it gets raided by aliens, but they take care of it. So, yeah, this issue's pretty funny. It's a good, nice, relaxing issue, change of pace. And then, back to the serious, we get Uncanny X-Men 246. And again, this is like Carol Danvers and Rogue are still kind of like in an uneasy, or mystic as they call it, like an uneasy truce. Like Carol Danvers takes over sometimes Rogue takes over, and Carol Danvers is just kind of being really nostalgic. Nostalgic? There we go, nostalgic about her life and how she's trapped in her in Rogue's body, and she's pretty much running the psyche here. And funny thing, Master Mode actually takes over Nimrod. Nimrod was minding his own business, and Master Mode ends up assimilating himself into Nimrod, and he ends up actually going on a raging rampage trying to eliminate humans, because according to him, humans it's like the precursor to mutants, and he's programmed to get rid of mutants, and so that's what this issue's about. And Carol Danvers actually dresses up as Miss Marvel in Rogue's body, believe it or not. And she goes head first into Master Mode, only to be knocked unconscious. And Rogue ends up returning to running her own psyche again. And she's not pleased to be in Miss Marvel's costume, needless to say. And in addition to this, Master Mode ends up killing Senator Kelly's wife. Yep. And that ends up reigniting his hatred for mutants. Solid issue, folks. A nice battle. And then, Uncanny X-Men 247. This is where these two issues again are worth picking up, folks. They're very good. That's Rogue in Miss Marvel's uniform with her own side, and pretty much they managed to destroy Master Mode. But unbeknownst to them, Master Mode starts assimilating himself again. And he starts coming back to pieces, and Rogue ends up more or less sacrificing herself because they end up pushing the thing through the Siege Perilous. And Rogue ends up sacrificing herself in order to ensure that the rest of the X-Men, live. Dazzler ends up shooting the thing into Siege Perilous along with Rogue, and yep, and that's pretty. She ends up sacrificing herself. Rogue, we don't end up seeing Rogue again for like another. I think it's like 20-something issues, 25, 30 issues. We don't end up seeing Rogue again for a while, which is sad because Rogue's my favorite X-Men. But yep, that's what happens in this issue. And the interesting thing, too, is that the Nimrod actually starts resisting Master Mode, too. It's very interesting that you have two machines kind of power struggle between the two machines as well. And unbeknownst to them, Nimrod actually assists a little bit in destroying the Master Mode construct as well. And then we got Uncanny X-Men 248. Now this right here is about Nanny. And I think after this issue, Longshot ends up leaving to find himself, and I'm doing quotation marks. And so he ends up finding himself, and Nanny ends up kidnapping Storm, and kidnapping the X-Men, and he ends up going into this long, drawn-out battle. And Havoc, who's still woozy, ends up shooting the plane down and seemingly killing Storm. That's what happened. That's how the issue ends. He seemingly kills Storm. A pretty solid issue indeed. And it's funny too because Salak ends up having to become in charge. And then this one, Uncanny X-Men 249. So pick this one up as well. That's still the long haul that I got. And this is pretty much it. And then we're gonna... Yep, and so this one... They end up fighting, I don't know what those guys are. It's hard to explain what they were. Some weird toad people that were, I guess from the Savage Land, that were after Polaris, who's still kind of struggling with the Malice personality from way, way back. Savage comes to her rescue and everything. They come to her rescue and everything, but then they find out that they were kidnapped by Zaladan, unofficial sister, I guess, of Polaris, who's trying to take her powers of magnetism away. And they end up kidnapping her, and so we end up with this one. Polaris no more. The battle between them in the Savage Land, folks. Yep, and this is these two issues again, next two issues, this is worth picking up. So is this issue. Zaladan in the Savage Land. And so pretty much they end up, she ends up stripping Polaris of her magnetic powers. But for some reason, Polaris actually has another mutation that she ends up getting stronger and more built with more energy that's around her. She ends up absorbing that and getting bigger and more powerful. So that's what this is about. But she ends up stripping of her powers. But unfortunately for them, they end up going into this long battle with her and her forces. Fortunately, they end up blasting Zaladan out of the way because she's not used to the magnetic powers yet. And they end up bringing her whole temple down. But this is not the last we've seen of this girl right here. Because Magneto is the one who finally kills her. by, I showed that issue too. It's a pretty solid one. I think it's 275, but he ended up killing her, which is a very good Magneto story. Yep, and so this is right there, 250. Nope, bloody hell. That has been my Uncanny X-Men haul, folks. I finally read from 167, all the way to 250. Yes, so this is not it for the Uncanny X-Men haul, because as a bonus from that long haul that I picked up, I also got like 301 plus. I also got 301 and a little bit above 300. Which again, my goal is to get all the first. My goal is to get Chris Claremont's first run. So getting the getting like 301 and like 286, getting 290s and stuff like that. Getting that is just more like a bonus for me. It's like, I wasn't really looking to get them to collect them, but it just came with the whole haul that I picked up, that whole lot. That was like 160 issues. It came with it, so I'll probably end up posting that up later. But yeah, this has been my Uncanny X-Men haul, and thanks for anyone who actually stood and watched for this entire time. And peace out, folks. Peace out. There we go.